It's not often where you play a game and the main character sticks with you long past the time you stop playing it. As a 23-year-old guy, I've grown up playing countless video games with amazing campaigns and storylines. However, for whatever reason, I have not played RDR2 until these last few months, a game which is now nearly a decade old. I know, I'm incredibly late to the party, and it would be hard for me to say something unique or nuanced about the game that hasn't already been said. However, today, I want mainly to discuss Arthur Morgan and the impact he's had on my life personally. I could go on and on about RDR2 as a whole and the incredible masterpiece it is, the immersion, world building, all the other characters, its style. It's all completely intoxicating. It's almost as if it's a dream game for a 20-something-year-old in search of meaning and escape in the year 2026. Already, I could rip off on a tangent about how crazy stupid things have been in 2026. We've got AI, ice shootings, Greenland, and then Trump doing whatever else it is he's been doing this whole time. It's all just so unbelievable. However, that's not what I came here to talk about. What I want to talk about is a form of escapism from this crazy reality we live in. Escaping into the shoes of a character that almost feels more real than these NPCs I talk to on a daily basis in my college life. Of course, I'm referencing Arthur Morgan. Arthur the Gunslinger, the man most trusted by Dutch and the most reliable member of the Vanderlyn gang. Dude, I don't even know where to start with this video game character. I guess I gotta talk about his aura. There are a couple video game characters I've played as that have maximal aura value. A few of them that come to mind are the Doom Guy, Master Chief, and Kratos. Arthur Morgan, though, set in a completely different universe from these characters, a more grounded universe, I would argue, has almost equal levels of aura to these guys. Listen, I know that band for band Arthur couldn't stand against the likes of Doom Guy or MC, but that's not the argument I'm making here. I'm saying that
aura, the pure vibe of coolness and allure that someone gives off, it is insanely high with a character like Arthur Morgan.
Maybe it's the cowboy aesthetic, the incredible voice acting, the gruff yet likable personality, or just the fact that Arthur is low-key Superman at the start of the game in the Red Dead universe. His vibes are just unmatched. Look, I know how much glazing I'm doing right now, but I'll explain myself more clearly here in a minute. The point is, since you're playing as Arthur, the main character in RDR2, you are the needle point that sews the story forward. My favorite example of Arthur having high aura is how other characters in the game treat him. Everyone seems to like him, despite what they might say to his face, because they know that without Arthur, the gang would be destined to literally fall apart. Alright, so I think I've glazed enough in the aura department, but now I want to move on to my next point. And that is that Arthur isn't just a character to be revered by us, but a character that yes, I'm talking about you listen to this video, to deeply relate to. Despite Arthur having insane levels of aura, he is not without his own flaws. Arthur is a character that is deeply haunted by his past, his regrets, his shame and guilt, and just his demons in general. It's not like he tries to hide it either. He's openly vocal that he knows he's not a good man, morally speaking. This is why we as guys playing video games fell in love with this game and this character. I see part of myself in Arthur Morgan because just like Arthur, I have so many past regrets, decisions, and as much as it might be cringe to say, demons that I've got hidden in the closet. I guess what I'm trying to say is the reason I personally have loved playing this game so much is because I do not see myself at all in the Doom Guy or Master Chief as characters. However, I can easily see myself as, at least part of myself, as Arthur Morgan. When you first start playing the game, Arthur already has a fully lived in and realized life, with his own deep lore of past bad decisions. You don't get that deep sense of the human condition or negative emotions from a character like the Doom Guy or Master Chief. When I get done playing Doom 2016 or when I get done with a Halo campaign, I don't sit down and say to myself,
damn, that was a really deep character. I can see why I liked him so much.
Nah, you get done with your mission,
slide me out,
half a planet full of demons or aliens, and you go on about your day as if it never happened. There's no emotional attachment I have with the Doom Guy or MC, as badass as they are. And listen, this isn't to say that other video games don't have these types of characters. I'm sure they do. But RDR2 is the seminal example of doing the flawed main character right. This also isn't a game to shit on Halo or Doom. Sorry, this isn't a video to shit on Halo or Doom. Because we're comparing apples to oranges, right? It's two completely different things. But it is to show the power of a good fictional character and its effect it can have on its audience. In particular, how I felt when playing through this game. To keep it short and sweet, Arthur, he's such an amazing character precisely because he isn't superhuman. And spoiler alert, we know that he's destined to be 6 feet under by the game's end because of his tuberculosis condition. But here's where it gets really interesting and why I think Arthur Morgan is genuinely one of the best written characters in any medium, not just video games. It's the contradiction at the heart of who he is. Arthur is simultaneously the gang's most loyal soldier and the person most aware of how screwed up everything is. He's the guy who will rob a train and beat a man half to death for information, but he's also the guy who helps a widow build a house, who shows genuine tenderness to animals, who sketches flowers and sunsets in his journal.
My name is John Mustard!
And that's the thing, the journal.
Dude,
The fact that this man keeps a personal journal where he writes his thoughts and draws a picture of the world around him, I mean, that's character depth right there. You can tell Rockstar really understood that the most interesting people across any medium, there are contradictions. Arthur isn't just the badass cowboy or the tortured soul, but he's both and neither, and everything in between, if that makes any sense at all. What really gets me is how Arthur processes loyalty. This man is painfully loyal to Dutch, even when Dutch is clearly losing it. Even when Micah is obviously poisoned. Even when the plan is falling apart. And you can feel Arthur's internal struggle the entire time. He wants to believe in Dutch because Dutch saved him as a kid. He raised him and gave him purpose. That's his father figure. But Arthur's not stupid. He sees what's happening. The genius of the writing is that Arthur stays loyal not because he's blind, but because leaving would mean admitting that his entire adult life was based on a lie. That the family he killed for, the code he lived by, was all just Dutch's ego trip. That's a terrifying realization for anyone. And then the TB diagnosis happens. Bro, not gonna lie, when Arthur looks at himself in that mirror after the doctor tells him, it hits different. Suddenly, Arthur's forced to confront his mortality in a way that makes all the bullshit with Dutch and the gang seem petty. He's got maybe a year, probably less, and he's spent his whole life as Dutch's enforcer. What does he have to show for it? A box full of regrets and a journal full of sketches no one will see? This is where Arthur becomes truly magnetic as a character. It's his response to the diagnosis. He doesn't give up. He doesn't spiral into nihilism. Instead, he tries to become better. He stays actively helping people, not for Dutch's grand plan, but because it's the right thing to do. He helps John escape with his family because he wants someone from this mess to make it out alive and actually have a chance at redemption. The beauty is that Arthur's redemption arc isn't about him becoming a saint. He's still robbing, still fighting, still killing when he needs to, but there's intention behind it. There's purpose beyond
Dutch said so.
He's choosing who he helps and who he doesn't. He's drawing lines. And yeah, maybe it's a little too late for Arthur himself, but I felt every bit of that transformation when playing through the game. What makes this even more powerful is Roger Clark's voice acting. Shout out Roger Clark, dude. Like, I don't think this character works without that performance. The way Arthur says,
I guess, I'm afraid.
whenever he says that to the nun near the end, the exhaustion in his voice when he tells Dutch, I gave you all I had, the barely contained rage when he confronts Micah, that's not just good voice acting, that's a fully inhabited character. You believe Arthur is a real person because Roger Clark makes him feel real. And here's something I've been thinking about. Arthur's relationship with the player is unique. In most games, the main character is either a blank slate, like take for example Skyrim, or they're so fixed that you're just along for the ride. And an example of this could be Last of Us. However, Arthur is this perfect middle ground. He's definitely his own person. You don't create Arthur, you
Become.
Arthur. But the game gives you enough choice that your Arthur can be slightly different from someone else's Arthur. My Arthur helped every stranger he came across, spent hours hunting and fishing, always tried to de-escalate situations when possible. But I know people whose Arthur was a complete
Menace.
robbing everyone and leaving a trail of bodies. And both are valid interpretations of the character because the game's honor system isn't black and white morality. It's about whether Arthur is trying to be better or embracing his worst instincts as he faces death. The other thing that makes Arthur so magnetic is his relationships with the other gang members. The way he talks to people shows different sides of his personality. With Hosea, he's respectful and almost childlike in seeking approval. With Charles, there's mutual respect and genuine friendship. With Mary Linton, his lost love, he's vulnerable and sad, showing you the man he could have been if he'd made different choices. With Jack, he's gentle and almost fatherly. With Micah, he's barely containing his disgust. Every relationship reveals yet another layer of Arthur. And can we talk about the subtle environmental storytelling with Arthur? The way he hunches over more as the TB progresses, the way his coughing gets worse, the way he looks more and more tired, you can see the disease taking him, and it makes every mission in Chapter 6 feel more desperate because you know time is running out. The game doesn't have a timer or a health bar slowly depleting. It's all visual and narrative, and it makes it hit so much harder. I think what really cements Arthur as one of the greatest video game characters ever is his final choice. Depending on your honor, he either dies helping John escape or he dies alone, beaten by Micah. But even the bad ending still has this tragic dignity to it. Arthur still tried to do one good thing at the end. He still wanted John to make it. Even at his worst, Arthur never fully lost his humanity. That last ride up the mountain with "That's the Way It Is" playing, Arthur helping John one final time, knowing he won't see the sunrise. Dude, I damn near cried. Not even kidding. Not because it's manipulative or it's cheap storytelling, but because after 60 plus hours with this character, watching him struggle and fight and try to be better, you earn that emotional moment. You understand exactly why Arthur makes that choice. You understand why he tells John, be loyal to what matters. Because Arthur spent his whole life being loyal to the wrong things. He wants John to do better. Here's what really gets me though. Even months after finishing the game, I still think about Arthur Morgan. Not about the gameplay, not about the graphics of the horses, or whatever. I think about Arthur. I think about his arc, his choices, and what he represents. And that's the mark of a truly great character. He's not just memorable because he's cool or badass. He's memorable because he feels real. Because his struggles, his regrets, his desperate attempt at redemption in the face of death, that's a fundamentally human thing. That's something we can all relate to, even if we've never robbed a train, slammed someone out, or been in a shootout, right? In an age where there's so much media that gives us perfect heroes and edgy anti-heroes who are just basically sociopaths with style, Arthur Morgan is refreshingly complex. He's a bad man trying to be good. He's loyal to a fault, and he's tough but tender. That's a Walter Mitty reference for those of you that know ball. Anyways, he's dying, but he's more alive than he's ever been. He's exactly the kind of character that reminds you why storytelling matters, why video games can be art, and why we play video games in the first place. We don't play video games just to shoot stuff or solve puzzles or see cool graphics, though in some cases that might be true. I believe we play video games to experience stories, to walk in someone else's shoes, to feel things, and Arthur Morgan makes you feel everything. That's why he's magnetic, and that's why he sticks with you. That's why, even though the game came out nearly a decade ago, people still talk about him, still make videos about him, still get emotional thinking about his story. So yeah, I might be late to the RDR2 party, but I'm so glad I finally showed up. Because Arthur Morgan is exactly the kind of character I needed right now. He's flawed, haunted, searching for meaning, trying to be better even when it's hard. In 2026, with all the chaos and uncertainty, there's something deeply comforting about a story that reminds you it's never too late to be a better person. Even if you've made mistakes, and even if you're running out of time. That's Arthur Morgan. That's why we play video games. May he stand unshaken.